All right, Fresh. Third game of the week. This is the 3:30 kick on ABC. Texas A&M Aggies traveling to Miami. Texas A&M is a 4.5-point road favorite. A lot of road favorites this weekend. Kind of took me off guard there. Over/under is set at 51 points. Well, Tyler Van Dyke looked like he was a couple of years ago. 77% passing, 200 yards. Miami ran the football well. It was against Miami of Ohio, one of the better teams in the MAC as well. You know, they played defense 2 of 12 on first down or on third down. What are you seeing, man? Are you seeing Miami maybe having a shot in this game? Because I think a lot of people are going to take this, but a year ago, Texas A&M didn't even make a bowl game, so.
I mean, the first thing you look at is you see Jimbo Cristobal. It sounds like you're going to get something like a Jack in the Box or, a Hardee's. And then you have Wegman
Sounds
versus
like
Van
something
Dyke.
I get food poisoning.
That's probably also going to occur. Then you have Wegman and Van Dyke. I think it's just really come down to the two quarterbacks because there's tons of talent there, and the rest of the teams, we have no idea what we're going to get from anybody. Either the Hurricanes or Aggies. It's been both these squads are so up and down. They showed momentum at the end of the year last year. But do we actually believe? Do we believe in A&M? Do we believe in Miami? They get all these recruits, they bring in all these high rankings in December and early February, and then when the games are played, they lay duds. Do we believe in either of these teams? There's talent at quarterback. We've both seen it happen. We've never seen it consistent. That's what I'm really focused on this football game. If A&M loses, we're going to hear more about Bobby Petrino, not the good offensive coordinator, and Jimbo's doesn't have a good football team and just a bunch of high recruits. They buy players and they never actually perform on the field. All those stories will keep running and running and running. And you look at Miami, if they get blown out or they come out clunking, Cristobal, does he even care about coaching Miami? Are the players actually paying attention? All these stories start rising up of these guys are supposed to be the saviors of these programs, and we haven't seen anything from either of them. There's tons of money flying around both these programs. It's been well documented, but where's the production on the field? Nobody cares about workout videos or showing what you're doing in NIL nonsense. They want to see results on the field. Last year's game between these two teams, they both came in, stumbled in. Miami looked completely outmatched, unathletic. No, they weren't physical. A&M actually looked impressive in that football game, and they went back actually after that retreated back to their hole for the next couple weeks after that. But I still come back to the fact of which one of you actually wants to prove that you're a legit football program? If you stumble through this game, I don't care who you are, offensive line play, defensive line play, you have recruits everywhere. If none of you guys show up, all your kids are hit the portal and go somewhere else, most likely Colorado. This is the time you've got to show up and you've got to put on a big game or you're just going to be a forgotten program. Especially with conference realignment, more teams are coming into these leagues. You're going to start falling farther and farther down that pecking order and getting less and less of the pie if you don't show up. So I'm actually intrigued to see which one of these teams is truly for real. You're both 1-0. This is a hot afternoon to be down South Florida. Can Miami show up and at least be competitive? Because I have not seen Miami be competitive in a long time. I've seen A&M be competitive. I've seen them upset Alabama. I've seen them play tough. I've seen them beat LSU. I have not seen Miami be competitive in a football game against a big opponent in a long time. Mario Cristobal, can you get the Hurricanes to play at, I'm not saying at a 2003 level or a 90s level or an 80s level. That we can't even ask for that. Just give us competitive football. Get the guys to actually play on the same team and be focused in a big football game. Because you know what? You lose this game, you're going to lose more games in the ACC. You're going to get destroyed when you go up to Tallahassee. If you don't get your stuff turned around, you're becoming an embarrassment. This is your one football game to prove that you haven't gone anywhere. If you lose 17-14 and it's a tight football game and you both are competitive and actually is a good game that people can watch and see there's effort, I'll accept that you're in the right direction. If you come in, you get blown out and there's mistakes and you look sloppy and the guys look slow, adios, you're done. It's over. We've seen enough. Miami has just become a forgotten school from back in the day. This is your one chance. Jimbo, you need to show up, get your guys to play because the SEC West is probably the toughest division in college football. And again, if you stink, you're going to be run out and you're going to be a forgotten program. And those fans, they only give you so much oil money. Eventually, they're going to use the oil money to run you out of town. Which one of these teams is going to show up? That's all I really want to focus on this football game. I don't care who's playing where, who wants to rise up and actually be a player. I think the Aggies will cover the 4.5. I think they find ways to win. They win by a touchdown. Um, the over-under at 51. The Aggies have scored 20 points, at least 20 points in 4 of their last 5 games going back to 2022. And the Hurricanes have been all only scored 30 or more in 2 of those last 4. So the offenses have been hit or miss, not exactly that powerful. I got a feeling the Aggies, if they're gonna hit the over, they're gonna have to carry the weight in this football game and get it done. But I think the over hits, but just barely.
Yeah, Fresh. This is a fascinating game for me here because I was looking at A&M, and you took a look at Connor Weigman, what he did last week, and was pretty impressive at 236, 5 touchdowns, and a quiet 5 touchdowns because he didn't get any of the hype on the statistical talk shows afterwards. Sophomores Evan Stewart and Noah Thomas look like some absolute ballers out there on the outside. Both are sophomores. Thomas is 6'6". He's a huge target for Connor out there. But I started thinking, and I started looking at this. Fresh, when I was in high school, it's when I started really learning about football. And, I had different people teach you about football. And when I was working at a marina, I had a former boss who his name was Tom, who would teach me about, he played football in the 80s and how anything that they need to do was smash mouth football. And if you really wanted to control a football game, he taught me about how controlling the line of scrimmage, kind of hitting people in the mouth right up the middle, especially running a fullback or running a halfback who can pound it in between the tackles. And you look at what Henry Parrish and Mark Fletcher did for Miami this past week, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns between the two of them. They ran very, very well. That's what Miami needs to do in this game. We need to go back because Miami, you're right. We have not seen them play competitive football in a very long time. It's been a bit. Miami, you need to start embracing your roots. Willis McGahee, Egrin James, guys who can run in between the tackles, who can pop it out. You maybe have a guy who can pop it outside, break a long one off tackle, but can you run it in between the tackles? Can you smash someone in the face when you're running up the middle? Yeah, you may get 3 yards a carry, but you hit them hard, and those 3 yards eventually it's like chopping a tree down. Yeah, you make that first chop and you only get 3 yards, and you make another chop and you get 3 yards. But sooner or later, those 3 yard carries start turning into 4, 5, 6 yard gains there, and you're running right into the teeth of the defense. A&M only had 2 sacks. They had 10 tackles for a loss in their game. They are going to need more pressure. If Van Dyke is going to do this, if he's going to use play action, can they get after Van Dyke? If they can do that, they're going to win this football game. If they can withstand the run, they're going to win this football game. I'm going to believe in Miami this year. We've had two road favorites. I'm going to say Miami at least will cover this spread. I'm not super confident about that one, but I'm going to go with it because I'm going to give Miami and say that maybe it took 2 years for Mario Cristobal to pull this thing together. Maybe he had to get his players. Maybe he had to have a sense of pride because Miami needs to win this game. Cristobal needs to win this game. If Cristobal doesn't win this game this weekend, I don't know whose seat's starting to get hotter. Because you take a look at what's going on, Brown up there in West Virginia, his seat's burning up. Billy Napier in Gainesville, his seat's starting to cook a little bit too. Cristobal, you need this game. Now, you're not going to get fired for this game. You're not going to be technically on the hot seat. But the temperature is going to turn up just a bit because you don't have this game. By having a game like this is the type of the game that your boosters start going, we beat A&M. We beat an SEC team. We now have the momentum on our side. Miami, listen, after Clemson's loss last week, ACC is open. They need to be the team that can knock off Florida State and possibly keep Florida State out of the playoff. If you're going to do it, it's going to start this this week. I'm going to take Miami as the dog. I'm excited just because I think that it's almost a little bit of desperation time for them. And when the hurricane gets desperate, man, you better watch out. That over under 51, I like that number too. But I'm with you. I'm going to go on the under on that one as well. I don't think there's going to be enough points spent or scored in that game. So guess what? Smash mouth old school football, just like Tom taught me back in the day in Vermillion, Ohio. I'm going Miami and the under in this game.
I tell you, if Miami's good, it just makes college football better. And that's where you kind of they're that bad boy, they're that villain that everybody loves. And
Yeah,
when they stink, it loses that extra little zest. I think they need to be competitive and good to add that little extra bad boy mentality to the game.
right. And it was pass interference in 2002.